Yes, people, we are back. Welcome back to the channel. Big up to all of you that are here. Make sure, if you've not done so already, you've hit like and subscribe. I'm your host today, Dan Potts, and I have got one of my favorites in the house. We've got Curtis Shaw TV. How are you, Curtis? You good, bro?
All good, bro. Cecil's obviously, he's busy in his very busy world. And big up to Potsy for coming on. And you know what? A much happier show because people in the comments go, "Oh, this one's going to be brutal." No, we're in a good mood. We beat Newcastle. You know what I mean? I'm expecting a couple more wins this week. So it's rosy in the garden today, people. So you ain't got to, you haven't got to worry. But no, big up, Potsy. Always a pleasure. When we do a show, man. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was looking forward to this one when I realized it was me and you, because we normally see things the same, whether or not people like that or not. But normally, we are on the same page, and I think that's fair to say. And today will be a good one, man. Big up to Cecil, but I'm not like Cecil. Cecil's very, very pro, I would say, with what's happening. Normally, he gets a little bit over positive, some would say, but you're not going to get that from me and you. I don't think. But we'll go from there.
He called him a genius last week. Sorry, he said Arteta was a genius. I said you need to relax, but he did.
Listen, if he's a genius, let's hope he's lifting silverware at the end come May. Do you know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Bro. That's where we're at. Look, before we get into it, there's loads and loads and loads of comments about Turkish. All we can say is that Turkish has decided to leave AFTV. And I wish him all the best. He's a great friend of mine, and he's going to concentrate on doing his own thing, which he's doing very, very well at and very successful at. So there's a lot of people talking about, where's Turkish in the chat? Why is Turkish not on AFTV? That's all I know. He's decided to leave, and I wish him all the best, man. And I'm sure you'll see him around. You know where to find him. Turkish LDN, the Big Six, and he's doing great things. So go show him some love, people. Go show him some love.
I have to echo that, man. Obviously, he's a good friend and big him up, and he's doing big things. I think it might just be a natural progression for him that he wants to concentrate on his channels, and like you said, Big Six and his own channel. So big him up, man. And good luck to him.
No, listen, absolutely, I totally agree with that, and big up to him. Look, let's talk a little bit about the weekend, Curtis, because it was a mad ending, bro. I can't believe what I was seeing. And I did the watch along, and throughout it, I'm losing my mind. I'm thinking we're going to drop points here. When Liverpool dropped, Chelsea, Spurs, United all dropped. And I know they're not in and around sort of Arsenal in terms of where we think we'll be in May, but it's always good when United, Spurs and Chelsea drop points as well, on top of Liverpool finally losing. And I really felt like we had to. And I looked at the scenario of it being 1-0 and thinking, how are we 1-0 down? Like the first half hour, I really felt we were on top. I was convinced that we were playing with the handbrake off, as the title suggests. And I thought finally we're going to start to give it to Newcastle. I felt the penalty incident completely changed the mentality of switch of the team. And I just felt that got to our heads a bit, found ourselves 1-0 down. And I just did not see Arsenal getting back into it, because we've been there so many times at St. James's Park where we just see this. VAR usually gets involved like it did again. But we were able to turn it around in the end. And I think that is the massive positive. I did not expect that happening. I was questioning like mentality, and is the manager got what it takes? Is he going to show and throw everything at it to try and win this game? Hats off, man. We did. We took 3 points, and a massive 3 points at that, man. But how did you see the game itself, bro?
Yeah, do you know what? I kind of had to watch the game back the day after, because when the game finished, it was a game, a very emotional game, in the sense that we started the game really well, but we weren't able to score. Then obviously, I agree with you. I think the penalty incident threw the team for a little bit. And I was saying on my watch along that they need to get over it, forget about it. It's gone. Us as fans, we can complain as much as we want, but they need to get over it. I do commend Arteta, and it's interesting because, we get criticized at times for being, negative towards the manager. I think constructive criticism is important in top level sport. And I genuinely think Arteta reacted to what was being said last week. Maybe not by content creators, but certainly the mainstream media. We're all saying he's got to let this team play with more freedom. And he picked a much better lineup. And when Mosquera was starting, I was thinking, because they were saying Saliba can't play 3 games in a week after that injury, and I was thinking maybe Saliba should have missed Port Vale and played in this game. But again, credit to Arteta, he reacted and took Mosquera off, brought Saliba on. The Marino change was pivotal. Odegaard, I know it was only a little cameo at the end of the game, but that felt like some of the best football I've seen from Odegaard in a while. That little through ball that he played to Lewis Skelly and the corner, and I thought we need to see that more often. So it was a game of emotion, but I think in the end it was the perfect way to win the game. I actually think sometimes, if we'd have gone there and beat them 2-0, it is a massive win. But I think sometimes you get more from winning a game like that. It feels bigger than a victory. And I know we've been saying, Liverpool are riding their luck. We don't want to see Arsenal do that every week. There's times you've got to control the game and beat them. But it felt like a big moment in the season. Now, whether it ends up becoming that big moment, we don't know. When we battered Man City, I thought that was a big moment last season. But it was a big moment. We've got a favourable run of fixtures in the next few weeks after the international break. And they showed something that a lot of people have questioned with Arsenal. Like, can you dig deep from a goal down? Can you fight back? Can you deal with that physical battle of Joe Linton and all them guys and deal with feeling like you've been hard done by the referee? You just got to get on with it and win the game. So I think it was one of the biggest results of the season for us, to be honest. And, ground that Arteta struggled at recently. So, yeah, massive, massive win.
It was a huge 3 points. And I just think it's so much more than just going to St. James's Park because of the results around us. But more importantly, it was actually, do we have the mentality? Does this team have what it takes to get across the line with games like this? Now, I'd rather be saying, have we got the team and mentality to get across the line come May? Because I do think this is just, way too early to be talking about the title race. And I saw something with John Obi Mikel, who was kind of digging in at Arsenal a bit as a podcast, saying, they need to calm down. It's only September, rah, rah, rah. But it did feel different this somehow. It felt like we've finally got across the line in a ground that's been quite cruel to us, that we've not been able to, take the 3 points at. So I think the way it ended, anytime it ends like that, bruv, it's exceptional, right? We'll take that any day of the week. I think the ending was phenomenal. I felt there was parts of the game where there was still a little bit like a game of chess, if I'm honest with you. And I felt like it was after that incident with VAR, which we'll touch on quickly, I felt like the mentality shifted a little bit. Now, whether that was the hostility of the ground, whether that was the fact that Newcastle, their fans and players felt, hang on a minute, this is doing us all right. We're 1-0 up here. The VAR's gone our way. Let's see what we can do. But I just felt like Arsenal were always on top in that game. I didn't feel like Arsenal were ever going to come under threat, if I'm honest with you. What frustrated me was I felt like we could have done more, particularly in the final third. I thought the first half hour we were brilliant. But then it kind of slowed down a little bit after that, Curtis, if I'm honest. And then the last 10 minutes, it was like unbelievable. The last 5 minutes really was just unbelievable. So let's talk a little bit about the VAR decisions quickly, bruv, because the penalty that wasn't a penalty, that was a penalty, that wasn't a penalty. And then you got the handball decisions from both Bruno and Gabriel, and the off-the-ball moment with Gabriel and Voltameda, because there's so much that happened in this game. Let's talk about the penalty first. Do you understand what was going on with that?
Bro, I'm sure everyone in the chat and all of us, we've watched football for years and years and years between us. I don't know what half the rules are anymore. Do you know what I mean? I really don't get them, because on one hand, seeing him make contact with the ball, I was thinking maybe it's not a penalty. But then there's other games where the goalkeeper has touched the ball and fouled the player and the penalty's been given. I think Sanchez against Mbeumo, he touched the ball and kind of fouled him afterwards. So my whole thing was I thought it was a penalty. I just thought it was a pen. Even with him making the contact, I thought they were still going to give the penalty. But the way they explained it, I kind of don't know. And I just afterwards was sort of like, just get on with it. And I've seen explanations online that if you took it round a goalkeeper and he touched it with his hand, it would be considered as like a good challenge, but with the foot. Do you know what? With the VAR, I didn't come out of that game going, VAR, we've been hard done by, because I kind of looked at it like, okay, maybe the penalty, but then Gabriel could have got sent off, to be honest. I think if Altamolder rolls around on the floor and they get the ref to check that and VAR, you could get sent off for that. So, and then the one with Gabriel, I mean, again, I thought it was a penalty until I realised it had touched his leg and deflected, and they said that doesn't count as handball. So, listen, man, VAR in this country, I don't think we should ever be surprised when their decisions are bad. They just don't seem to know how to use the technology, which is the problem. It's not the actual technology itself. So, in the end, I was kind of like, maybe we should have had the penalty, but maybe Gabriel could have got sent off. So I'm not too. It's one of them. If you win the game, you're not that bothered. If we lose or draw that, we're probably saying the referee's this and blah blah blah. So, but yeah, man, it was. What did you think? Did you think it was a penalty? What was your opinion of it?
My first thing was it was a penalty, and I actually do stand by it. I think it has to be. I don't know how a goalkeeper can come out like that and can foul him and then get away with it because Keres has touched the ball first and it's luckily hit him on the foot, and they're going, "Oh, brilliant tackle." It's not a brilliant tackle. The guy's come out like a madman. Let's be real. It's not good from Pope. And then what happens then, Curtis, is after he's then fouled him, he doesn't go, "No, ref didn't touch him, didn't touch him." He's like,
I know I'm in a mess here. Yeah.
I'm in a mess here. None of the Newcastle fans are going mad about it. For me, it was blatant. I thought it was an obvious penalty. And to be fair to Gillett, a lot of people don't like him because he's a Liverpool fan or whatever. But he's the one who gave the penalty. It's VAR that's got in charge. And I said this on my fan cam, and I'll say it again, bruv. When you give a penalty, the ref needs to go and look at the screen and just watch it again. He don't need anybody in his ear rolls telling him all this, that, and the third. He just needs to watch it again because he's just as qualified as those sitting in Stockley Park. He just needs to watch it again and go, have I made the right decision? And I will decide whether I have or I've not. And he'll give the penalty as an on-field decision or not. He does not need people going, "Oh, Jared, what you might have missed was," I don't know, if I just slow this down and just show you, Charlie, can you come in and just confirm with Jared what he might have missed? No, we don't need all that, man. Just let him watch it and say, have I made the right decision or not? And if that would have been the case, I think that he would have 100% given the penalty. So that's where I'm at with that. It didn't actually make a difference to our 3 points in the end, but it could have. The situation with Gabriel, the reason it's not a handball is obviously the law states if it hits a part of your body and hits your arm, it's not a handball. So I'm cool with that one. I think the Bruno one's not a handball either. I don't think there's enough in that, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Agreed.
Where I think Gabriel has got lucky, and I will give him praise for his goal, but where I'll give him some kind of criticism is I don't know what he's doing off the ball with Volta. I think that's crazy. I think he's lucky, yeah. And then obviously the goal that we conceded, he needs to get up, man. I love Gabriel. He's one of my favourites, but I've got to see more strength from him than that. I mean, he's going down so easily. And he's looking at the ref, and it's like, just win the ball, like just go for the ball. Don't worry about him putting his hands on you. So I've got to see him stronger in that situation, and take nothing away from him because he's won us the game and he's unbelievable, and I love him from set pieces. But I thought they were, VAR is just becoming a bit of an issue, if I'm honest, because it's not the technology, it's the people that are using it, and they're just getting it wrong. Too many cooks, bruv, in my opinion.
Do you know what I think as well with Gabby? And I think Saliba calmed him down in the second half. I think those two, why their partnership is so good. Gabriel's the aggressor. Saliba is the calm head. And I think Mosquera's quite aggressive as well. So I think the atmosphere, the fact Volta was trying to give it to Gabriel a little bit, and he's 6'6". It was very poor from Gabriel. You've got to take responsibility as a defender and deal with the situation, not look to the referee for a free kick. There wasn't enough contact. And then I think he's lucky, give him a little forearm off the ball. And lucky that he didn't, fall over and make a meal out of it. But like you said, he made up for it. I thought second half, I can barely remember Newcastle creating anything in the second half. And again, one thing that I really hope Arteta realizes moving forward is we were all frustrated after Manchester City, but what we took positive out of that was look at the way Pep retreated at the end of the game and took off all his attacking players. You look at Eddie Howe, he takes off Walter and Anthony Gordon with like 20 minutes to go and basically says, we're just going to try and hang on to 1-0. So I like the fact that teams are now looking at Arsenal and going, we'll try and hang on to what we've got here because we know how good they are. So that's Arteta's actually got to use that in our favour and go, you know what? These teams are afraid of our attack. Rather than us sitting back so much and not giving them the attack that they're expecting, we can actually go and knock these teams off the park, because we could have been 2-0 up in the first
Easy.
half, 2 or 3-0 up. You know, Pope made a couple great saves, Trossard hit the post. We could have had a penalty. And that's why I think we lost our way a little bit at the end of the first half, because they probably sat there and thought, we've battered these lot for 30 minutes and we find ourselves a goal down to a soft, corner that shouldn't have even been a corner because Mosquera kicks it out and then Gabriel doesn't defend. But then, where again I do give the team credit is they came out second half and managed the game well. But I think the only thing I would say from that game that we need to improve on, we need to score more goals from open play. I think we're still, it's great to have set pieces in your armory, but you don't want to purely rely on set pieces. I think I saw a stat that 7 or 8 of our goals have come from set pieces.
Crazy.
Do you know what I mean? So, and you want to see these guys, scoring goals from open play. Hopefully that happens in the next few games.
Don't get me wrong, it's part of the game, set pieces, Curtis.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It can't be the only way we score goals. And that, for me, I agree with you, has to change. And that's why I liked the game. The games against Leeds and Forest showed a little bit more. I know we had a couple of set pieces in those games, but for me, it was a lot more free-flowing and kind of attacking in terms of open play goals. But I've got to say, talking of set pieces, Gabriel, let's just take a moment, because this guy is becoming lethal, mate. And I'm talking about being a monster from set pieces, offensively as well as defensively. This guy, Jordan told me the other day that he looked at the stats. He scored a goal now against Newcastle at St. James's Park, Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, Man City at the Etihad, Man United at Old Trafford, and Liverpool at Anfield, and at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as well. That's basically all the big 6 away from home that this guy has been lethal from set pieces. And a majority of those have given us either a win or save points for us. So I think we need to take a moment to just look at that signing now at 27 million and just say it's got to be one of Arteta's best, if not the best now.
I'd say it's the best, to be honest, of his era. I think Timber as well at the moment, but obviously Gabriel's done it over a long period of time. I mean, I was talking about these two today. I genuinely think at this moment in time, you're looking at the best centre-back partnership in world football. I'd go as far as that, to be honest. I think you look at Real Madrid, Militao, and them, they're good. Barcelona, I think the only one you really look at is maybe PSG are pretty good, Pacho and Marquinhos, and Liverpool. But Konate this season has looked a little bit shaky. I mean, Mateta bodied him at the weekend. So, yeah, I mean, Gabriel at that price is just an unbelievable sign. So is Saliba, to be honest. I mean, he costs less than 30 million as well. What would Saliba and Gabriel cost if you were to sell those two now on the market? You're looking well over 100 million. So, unbelievable signing. Leadership as well. I think he's matured. I think a couple of years ago we were saying, he has these little moments of madness where he gives the ball away or something. He's pretty much cut that out of his game now. I know he was a little bit silly on the corner, but yeah, Gabriel for me, I think if you're picking out one player, that's probably the best signing of Arteta's era when you consider, the amount of money that he cost, and he's just a brilliant player.
Yeah, he is. Facts. You mentioned Timber. I thought was excellent the weekend again. He's becoming yeah, he was mine. A typical performance from him now, isn't it? Every weekend we're seeing team Jules win his battles, come out on top. Better offensively, in my opinion, as well. Defensively, he's absolutely elite level. I truly believe, Curtis, we've got one of, if not the best right backs in Europe. I know people will talk about 100%. Trent, Hakimi. Definitely in the league, Reece James is the only one that comes close, in my opinion, and that's when he's fit. I think the only thing Reece James might have ahead of him is that he's got a delivery on him, and I'm not sure that I've seen that level of quality from Timber crossing into the box, but I certainly think everything else he's got about him is unbelievable. This is another great signing, by the way, that didn't cost the amount of money that perhaps he would be if he was available now.
Unbelievable. And I'm pretty sure I heard that he was at the FA Cup final when Ten Hag was in charge, and United were sort of trying to get hold of him. So the fact we managed to get him, apparently his brother's meant to be good as well. I haven't seen much of him. I think he's a defensive midfielder. But Timber, for me, I think with Hakimi is I would say those two. I think he's ahead of Trent at the moment. Trent's having a stinker at Madrid. He's pulled his hamstring. He hasn't played that well. Reece James is too injury prone. This guy's an absolute monster of a right back. Like, we all loved Ben White when he was at right back. This guy's so good that we don't really mention Ben White that much. And I actually rate Ben White. So Timber is an animal, absolute animal of a player, and so physical, come back from such a big injury. You would never think he'd been injured. He's got so much aggression. There was a moment, I think Arsenal tweeted it, where he dropped the shoulder on Joel Linton. He fell over and then he just cut inside. I was like, this guy's an absolute machine, man. So we've got the defense. The foundation is there. It's about now what happens going forward and that attack and how I actually thought just quickly that I thought Declan Rice second half was outstanding. Absolutely outstanding, because I've been a bit sort of with Rice, you know, he puts in a shift, but sometimes I think, no, we can get more out of him. But in that second half, man, I mean, he sets up the goal for Marino. He put the cross in that led to the corner that we scored from. He done that amazing challenge where he ran back and cleared it. I just thought he was outstanding in the second half, man. So Rice for me is a 6. I know we've spoken about it so many times. A 6 that you probably give the freedom to go and join in. But the left 8 and trying to make him a creative player, still not totally sure whether that's his best role. But yeah, I thought he was fantastic in that second half.
I was going to touch on Gyökeres, but it's a nice segue into our midfield, because I've got to be honest with you, bro. I understand the first 6 games have been difficult, but I don't think we need Zubimendi and Rice against every single team. And I think there needs to be a conversation about now dropping one of them. Now, for me, it would probably be Zubimendi, and then Rice is our 6, and then having Eze and Ødegaard either side for maybe West Ham at the Emirates, maybe a Brentford or Wolves at the Emirates. I don't think we need Zubimendi and Rice on for that long. And I was screaming at the TV saying it's 78 minutes or whatever it is. You've still got Rice and Zubimendi playing together. Bring on Ødegaard and let's go with Ødegaard and Eze either side of Rice. And he must have listened to me, because that's what happened, right? But I do look at it and I think, like, that needs to be used more and utilized more, because I do believe Eze is definitely better centrally. I think Arteta might have even worked that out already, right? And Ødegaard has obviously been out, he's been brought back in, and I thought he was excellent when he come on the other night, has to be said. When I look at the scenario of Rice and Zubimendi, I like it, but only against certain sides. And I wanted to get your opinion on that midfield trio, bruv.
I think Zubimendi is a work in progress. I think there's no doubt about his quality. I think, you know, that adaptation to the league is going to take a little bit of time. I think defensively doesn't fill me with confidence. You know, I think better on the ball when the ball's being moved quicker. I agree with you, though. You know, you think back in the day, bro, a lot of teams played with 1 6 and then 2 midfielders, and then it kind of, now all of a sudden it's 2 6s. The thing I will say, it didn't work that well when he went with Rice and Havertz and Ødegaard in that first season. But I do think there is scope to play Eze and Ødegaard on the same pitch, because I think they're on a similar wavelength. They both look like very creative, progressive players. And rather than just forcing Eze to the left, I think maybe you could play both of them. So I think the midfield is still a bit of a work in progress to get the best out of that midfield. You know, it's sometimes football's strange. Sometimes the best 3 players doesn't make the best midfield, if you know what I mean. It's like, who offers you the best balance? You know, I felt with Partey and Rice and Ødegaard, that midfield had so much balance to it. So it's figuring out with this one what the best one is and how that sort of looks. But yeah, Zubimendi, I hope, becomes a big success here. I just hope he's not one of them number 6s that's kind of made for La Liga rather than the Premier League. Because I think to be a 6 in the Prem, you've got to have physical presence when Morgan Rogers or somebody like that's running at you. You've got to have that, you know, to be able to break up play. But yeah, Zubimendi's going to need a bit of time. But yeah, Rice is, I think Rice, yeah, we got West Ham this week. Nuno's going to sit back and try and hit us on the break. Why could you not play Eze and Ødegaard in the 10? We're going to dominate the ball. And you might be able to play Rice in the 6, but it's just whether he's brave enough to do that, maybe.
I think it's frustrating for me to see this midfield at times because I look at Rice as a 6 playing in the 8. I think Erdegaard could be a really good left 8, but he's playing in the
Yeah.
right 10. We've got Eza, who we think is our best 10, at times playing left wing. It's like, look, actually, let's see what Rice, Erdegaard, and Eza can do, because we had
Mm.
Rodri, Bernardo, and KDB for so long that looked great. Now, I'm not putting them on this level, by the way. However, you could understand positionally the attributes of what we might have now. Rice has got the
Yeah.
similar attributes of Rodri in the 6, and you've obviously got Erdegaard, I think, could be more of a Bernardo than a KDB, and you might have Eze who can play in that attacking role. I think that could work. I really do, and I'd like to see it. It might not. It might be too much for certain games, but I think it's worth seeing a little bit. We saw it against Newcastle. It was looking pretty good, in my opinion,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'd like to see that more against some of the home games. So I'm kind of with you there. Let's talk a little bit about Victor Gyökeres, bruv, because
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to say that I've been blown away by him. I think that would be way too much, personally. I really liked the signing, and I know you did too.
Mm.
I've been underwhelmed in parts of his game, but I've been really happy in other parts of it. I think that's normal and natural for a new player coming in. I think he's got a little bit of harsh criticism, though, if I'm honest with you, because I don't really think that he's deserved some of the level of criticism from other people that he has. Some of it I don't care because it's rivals just being bitter and they just want him to do bad, right? But I think
Yeah.
there are some that are saying, oh, I don't really see the difference, don't really see an upgrade in what we already had. I think he's a bit average, he's not looking great. But he has got 3 goals. He has played well in games. I thought he looked a hell of a lot better in this game, and certainly for the first half hour, I thought looked okay. Maybe he went a bit quiet in parts of the game, but I don't think yet, bruv, that we've actually seen Gyökeres going one-on-one through on goal and fluffing his lines. We might have seen him
Mm.
go off maybe a bit one-on-one and take a bit long, or maybe make a wrong touch or something, but I've never seen him miss a sitter yet, is what I'm getting at. You could probably say the Leeds one where he took it quickly as he didn't realise how much time he had, but that's about it, really. Everything else, I think when he's supposed to have scored, he has done, or he hasn't got in the position because we haven't provided him the assists or the service. So I think some of this is on the style and some of it is on him as well. And I just wanted to get your opinions on him as a player so far as his start at Arsenal, bro.
Yeah, do you know what, Dan? I mean, I don't know about anybody else. I'm quite pleased with what I'm seeing from Gyökeres. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not overhyping it, you know, because me and
No.
you said for a long time we wanted Gyökeres at Arsenal, but I think people have to understand, first of all, the way that he plays and the way that we play kind of doesn't match up. So there needs to be an adjustment period for the team and for him. I think he would look better with Eze central, with Odegaard in form, with more service. Now I look at it and think he missed half of pre-season. He wasn't training with Sporting Lisbon. He's joined our team late, and he's trying to figure out the league. He's trying to get his fitness. It's one of the hardest positions on the pitch to play. Imagine coming to Arsenal and your first few games are Man United away, Liverpool away, Newcastle away, Man City at home, and we're not a team that has been creating a lot of chances. Majority of our chances have come from set pieces. I actually looked at that game at Newcastle, and even though he didn't score, I came away from that game and I went, do you know what? I think this guy is going to be a success at Arsenal, because he literally battled for the whole game. And that was a hard game. Newcastle are so physical. And just little things like when Gabriel scored the winning goal, he was celebrating like he'd scored the goal. And some people might think, well, that don't mean much. You know, he's a 60 million pound striker. But I saw the things of this guy's going to put the team first. He's going to put the team first. Even though he's a striker and he wants to score goals, he realizes the importance of the team winning, not just him scoring. He tweeted this team with love heart and he was saying this, how well the team worked. I think he's looked a bit trimmer in the last couple of games. He looked a bit heavy when he first joined. And I genuinely think it's going to get easier for him now. You look at our next run of 5 games, you ain't got to go to Newcastle or Old Trafford or Anfield or. I mean, there was a time that Lascelles had his hand in his mouth. I'm not even exaggerating when I say it. He had his hand in his mouth. I said, brother, am I watching WWF? I thought it was Ultimate Warrior from back in the day. You know what I'm saying? So I genuinely think, I bet if you spoke to a lot of them Arsenal players and said, what do you think of Gyökeres? They'd say, he's helping us a lot. He's occupying centre backs. He's running the channels. He's battling. He's creating space for other people. Don't get me wrong. He needs to start finding the back of the net more. We brought him in to score 20 plus league goals. If you look at the Premier League this season, Kolo Muani's hardly done anything. Ekatiko's probably been one of the best striker signings so far. He's got 3 league goals, the same as Victor Gyökeres. And I'd say Liverpool have had an easier start. Ekatike signed earlier in pre-season as well. Benjamin Sesko, who's the guy that we were heavily linked with, who I wasn't convinced with, and I don't think you particularly were. He's got 1 Premier League goal so far. So I think we've all got to understand that clubs have been in this thing for years of like, everybody wants a false 9, a link-up player, and somebody that drops in. We've now got a powerful, out-and-out number 9 goal scorer. It's going to take a little bit of time to adapt. He's got 3 goals in 6 games, which is 1 in 2. That would end up being about 19 goals in 38 games if he played every game. I think he'll get better and better. I look at the fixtures. I think we've got West Ham, we've got Burnley, Palace, Fulham is, I think, our next 4 games. I think he'll score goals in those games. And I think now Eze's settling in, Odegaard's back, I think he'll get more chances. So I would say to Arsenal fans, just be patient with him. We've waited a long time for a proper goal scorer. And I'm seeing positive signs from him. I think it's a work in progress. And listen, even tomorrow, Olympiacos at home, hopefully a couple of goals, and West Ham at the weekend. So I think the goals will turn up, man. I think Eze, those players will make him look even better.
I liked the Forest goal he scored where he tapped it in, and I'll tell you why. Not because it was unbelievable strike or anything. He pointed towards Eze with his celebration, and I liked that.
Yeah.
Because he's like, this is what you've got to do around me. You've got to provide me and feed me. I'm not going to pick up the ball at the right back scenario, take it round everyone and put it top bins like Luis Suarez and Sergio Aguero used to do. I'm not that striker. But I expected, from what I've seen from Gyökeres, I expected him to be in and around where he's been doing. I didn't expect to see him, what's he doing there? He's covering every blade of grass. Now he's on the right. Now he's on the left. I want this guy to just be in the box, just finishing off our chances, because we were told that Arsenal just need a killer. We just need a bagsman. And it looks like we've got that guy. Now, Mikel Arteta has also got a little bit of pressure here to get the best out of him, because I said this at the weekend. Lacazette was the striker, it didn't work. Eddie Nketiah was the striker, it didn't work. Aubameyang was put out to the left before he was told he had to go, that didn't work. We had Havertz and Jesus, who are still here, but nobody really says are good enough to be a prolific number 9 for Arsenal. So now that we've got one, this is number 6. This has to work, or we have to look and say, are we ever going to get a striker that's going to bag for Arsenal then? Because that's 6 now that we've got evidence of that can't get the kind of 20 to 25 goals that we want, because that's what we should be doing in terms of creating chances for. So I think it has to work now for Mikel Arteta. And I do think that potentially we might have to look at changing some of the style. And I'm like looking at the run of games coming up thinking, I want to see goals from Gyökeres. I want to see Saka and Martinelli and Eze and Trossard, Odegaard, etc. creating for him, threading balls through for him, crossing chances for him, because otherwise, if we don't get the ball to him, he ain't going to score, bruv, is he?
Yeah, and like you said, man, I remember that goal, and he ran over to Eze, didn't he? Like, that's what I need. That's the service. His movement is really good. We're not getting the ball to him enough in the penalty area, and I think it's because our wingers have been more goal-scoring wingers. Saka likes to shoot when he gets space. Martinelli likes to. So I think it's going to take time to adapt. Like you said, Arteta, one of his biggest things that he needs to do is get a striker to be successful under his management long term, because his system has sort of suited the false 9 more than the out and out striker. I feel like Jesus first 6 months at the club, he was flying. Havertz had a good spell up there. Mourinho had a good spell up there. It's whether now you can adapt to that out and out striker. Pep adapted Man City to Haaland. So I'm not worried with him. I think he's getting fitter. He's strong. He's aggressive. I think any centre-back that plays against him is going to have a tough day at the office. What we now need to do is make it more difficult, because he's such a goal-scoring threat. We don't want him to just be up there fighting centre-backs for 90 minutes. We want him to actually be that goal machine that people are intimidated by. So it's very early. He only had a few games, but the only thing I would say, if I was going to give Gyökeres a bit of advice, is that Havertz is maybe a month or 2 away from coming back. We know this manager loves Havertz, and Mourinho scored a good goal the other day. So you're thinking, if you go a few more games without scoring, you might give Arteta an excuse to go back to what he knows. So I think it's important he scores a goal this week. 2 home games, 2 teams that you'd expect us to beat. So yeah, it's a big week for him. I think he needs a goal really in one of those 2 games.
No, I agree. I really do agree, and I think we've got a nice sort of run of games. Within the next few. To be honest, that first 6. If I'm honest with you, bruv, the first 6 games. If I would have said to you, we get 13 points out of 18, we're going to lose to Liverpool and drop points to City. I think you'd probably say, "Oh, Dan, I'm disappointed that we're losing and dropping points to those 2." But would you have taken 13 out of 18? I mean, there's a lot of people who said to me, we'd be lucky to get like 5 to 7 points. I never thought that it would be that bad, but certainly it was a difficult start, bruv.
Yeah, I think in the end, like we kind of go on a week by week basis. I've complimented the team and the manager a lot this week. I'll be honest. I'm sure a lot of you saw after Manchester City, I wasn't complimentary, and I wasn't after the Liverpool game either. It wasn't because those performances were dreadful. It was sort of the lack of ambition to go and win the game, especially in the game against Liverpool. But I saw something different against Newcastle. I saw an Arteta that was like, we're going to come here, we're going to win the game. I'm going to bring on players that can score goals. And I hope there's a realization in his mind now that we're an intimidating opposition for teams now. I mean, even Liverpool didn't really attack us that much at home compared to what you've seen in every other game. They scored from a set piece with 10 minutes to go. City took their striker off, played with no striker. Newcastle took their striker off. That tells you that teams are looking at Saka and Gyökeres and Eze and Odegaard and going, this team can rip you apart. So it needs to be a learning curve for him now, hopefully. I think now we're out of that spell of games. You're sitting there going, it's not a bad return. I'd expect us to beat West Ham this week. We'll all be watching the Chelsea-Liverpool game after thinking, I think even a draw keeps us top if we beat West Ham because we got a better goal difference than Liverpool. So it'd be a massive boost if we could go into the international break top of the Prem. So yeah, I think in the end it's been a decent start, and the biggest thing that I'm hoping is that Arteta has kind of taken the handbrake off, as we said in the thumbnail and the title.
Do you think that will remain now? Do you think now these 6 are over, it's been quite tough? We've been to 3 top grounds. We've played some tough teams even at home. Do you think now with the games coming up, West Ham, Fulham, Burnley, Palace, none of those teams are easy, by the way. However, they're not Anfield or Old Trafford or the Etihad. Do you think that we now might see an Arsenal that potentially we saw similar to in the 22-23 season, the team that went 8 points clear, that everyone enjoyed watching, the team that rivals found scary and scintillating? That's the Arsenal I want to see. I think we all want to see. Do you think that we might see some of that now in this coming games?
The funny thing is, Dan, it's the Fulhams, it's the Brightons, the Bournemouths. They're the teams that have cost us the league in the last couple of years. So that's where I'm intrigued to see. I think we got Fulham away just after the international break. That's a very tricky game for us. You would hope so as well, because when you look at it, really, we've been to Anfield, Old Trafford, and Newcastle. So really, you're looking at Tottenham and Man City away as the 2 real tough away games that we've got left. We've had a good record against Tottenham lately. So, yeah, I would like to think that handbrake won't be put back on. But you never know with Arteta, that's the thing. He relies a lot on this defence. But listen, there will be times in games that we have to defend and we rely on that back 4. But I think ultimately it's a case now of, because you look at that Newcastle game, we won't always score that late winning goal. And if we'd have drawn that game, we'd be looking at that Newcastle game going, well, we should have scored a couple in the first half. But we didn't get those goals. So, yeah, listen, hopefully these next 4 or 5 games where we kind of get in the groove. I think we got the best defence in the league, which I think we all expect us to have the best defence. It's now about scoring more goals. And Liverpool have had their first bump in the road, They've been beaten. It was a, last minute, and Eddie and Nketiah an extra, added on time. You heard Slot in the interview after the game. He's calling out Frimpong. I thought, okay, that's maybe not all as happy campers, you think, and then Konate's not signing a new deal. We've got to force Liverpool to ask questions of themselves. You know, we got to go and beat West Ham and hope they go and drop points at Chelsea and make them under pressure and take the pressure off us. So I think Arteta should see this as an opportunity now and go, we've got a chance now to put pressure on them and let the media talk about them and ask questions of Slot. And so I think he should be I think he should be excited about the opportunity that's ahead of us now.
Yeah, there is an opportunity ahead of us. Before we come to the Champions League game, I want to talk a little bit about Liverpool and Arsenal in this title race. Manchester City is still there as well. It doesn't look to me, bruv, like anyone's really that great at the moment. I'm not looking at any team. I don't know how anyone's going to catch them. Liverpool, as you've said, they've brought in, 5 or 6 players. It's got to a stage where they might have shaken it up a little bit with their kind of winning title side. Players have left. Some of their players that I would say their best probably aren't performing. You've got Salah, who's struggling. Konate, you've mentioned. I know, obviously, Ekatike is looking good, but Isak's just arrived. And Florian Wirtz, they're calling 007 now, right? So when I'm looking at the kind of scenario of Liverpool, I do think that they're not quite right at the moment, and I think they will get it right, but they're not clicked yet. Manchester City still look vulnerable on the outsides of their team. I think their spine looks very good. Donnarumma, Ruben Diaz, Vardiol. I think they've got Rodri, Foden, and Reinders, and then Haaland. But outsides, they're fullbacks and wingers. Other than Doku, who looks a bit better this season, I'm not sure that any of the others look outstanding. So they've still got problems. And then Arsenal, likewise, people still don't know if we've got quite the mentality and the players and the manager to get across the line. But do you think that we're best placed at the moment? Because when I looked at the Newcastle reaction, a lot of people now were saying, I think Arsenal can do it now. And it's mad because 2 minutes before that, 1-1, I don't think people would be having that conversation if it was 1-1. So that result really did change opinions of a lot of the media and rival fans. Do you think Arsenal are right now probably best placed to go and win this Premier League with the squad depth that we've got?
I mean, that's the $1 million question, isn't it, Dan? Because on paper, our squad depth is a team that you would say can win the league. It's when you've done something before, you're going to have more belief that you can do it. I.e., Liverpool have won the league. Van Dijk, all these players, they've been there and done it. We've got a group of players that haven't won the Premier League, so it's whether they can deal with them bumps in the road, whether Arteta can get us over the finish line and win a title. That's what we're all waiting to see now. I think whether you're the biggest fan of Arteta in the world, whether you don't think he's good enough, or you're somewhere in the middle, we're all saying, like, Mikel, the tools are there now. You needed the prolific goal scorer, you've got him. You needed more creativity, you've signed Eze. You wanted Zubimendi for a couple of years. The defensive squad depth is insane. I mean, Nkapia is a £45 million player. We haven't even seen him play in the Premier League yet. I think he played 6 minutes and got injured. So the tools are there. The tools are there. I think every fan looks at the squad and thinks, I believe we can win a major trophy with this team this season. Whether that is the Prem, whether that's something else. This team is capable of winning, in my opinion. It's about using them properly, rotating them properly. Because, you know, I look at somebody like Saka and I think on the back of 2 hamstring injuries, Saka can't play every week. You've got to manage him. You've got to take him off in certain games. You've got to, you know, I know they played Saka against Port Vale for minutes, but there's got to be games where you just say to Saka, have the night off. You don't need to play, you know, and those are the things where you say, okay, has Arteta learnt from previous seasons in the way that he manages the squad? I think this team's capable of winning the league this season. I genuinely think they can win the title. But it's whether the manager can make that happen and whether they can deal with difficult situations where we need to create chances and the set pieces aren't working. Can we score enough goals? So they're capable, but it's, you know, I think it's all eyes are on the manager now.
Facts. Well, look, Champions League's back tomorrow evening at the Emirates, Olympiacos, and the box.
Are you going to that?
I am going to that one, bruv. I am going to that one. Yeah, I like the Champions League nights. I do. I think sometimes we look at it and we think, yeah, like, remember when we had those Champions League nights and I was like, oh, shall I go to the Korabag one or the Ostersunds one? And then we went out of Europe and I'm like, Oh, get me back to the Ostersons game. I'm missing it. Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
yeah,
I actually enjoy it, man. I've got to be honest with you. And I quite like this new format. I don't want to say it too
I
loudly
do.
because they might then put a European Super League in place. But I actually do like the format. I think it's better. I think you can
Yeah.
look at other teams and see where they're at in the league and all that. I think that's good. Whereas in the old group stage, you literally had 3 teams and that was it. You didn't care about any of the other teams. So I think for me, it's been good. But um, in terms of squad rotation, you mentioned it there. What do you expect to see tomorrow? Because I expect to see a couple of changes. I think potentially we might see the likes of Ben White, maybe Lewis Skelly. Maybe we'll see Marino starting again and, maybe some changes on the wing with Martinelli. Do you think there'll be any sort of wholesale changes or do you think he'll tweak it a little bit?
I don't think wholesale because I read his press conference today. He was saying that the manager of Olympiacos was his coach when he was a kid. And I just think he'll have a lot of respect for him. Also, I'm sure you was there. I was there that night against Olympiacos, which still haunts me. You know, when Oba missed that chance,
Ah,
and
how did he miss that?
he scores a bicycle, then he misses a sitter.
Yeah.
It's like crazy. Um, so yeah, one thing we can't do is underestimate Olympiacos because this is one of the games you would have looked at and said you have to win that game. Inter, Atletico, and Bayern are the more difficult games. I do agree. I think there should be some rotation. I'd like to see Lewis Skelly play. I think he needs minutes. I hope we don't sort of just turn our back on him because I still think he's a very good player. Timber, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Timber get a rest. I think you could change the midfield up a little bit. And like you said, maybe he could play. Maybe he could play Eze and Odegaard and just play Rice. I think Martinelli deserves a start. I do like Trossard as a player. I've said before that for me, Trossard is an impact player. I think he sort of comes off the bench, does really well, then starts, then doesn't play that well, and then ends up back on the bench. You know, and he's kind of gone round in circles for a long time like that. So I'd like to see Martinelli play, and I just really want to see Gyökeres score. You know, I want him to score his first, Champions League goal for us at home, and Nwaneri as well. I mean, me and you have spoken about Nwaneri a lot of times on our channels. I don't know
Yeah.
what happened on the weekend because apparently he got off the coach and then didn't play. So I don't know. I don't know if you heard anything about that, but just
No.
outside of that game, I still feel like Nwaneri's not playing enough football for Arsenal. And I know ultimately we have to concentrate on the team and winning, but I genuinely think Nwaneri is a potential like star player. And it frustrates me that I don't see him play that much football. And you wonder with Madwake and Saka on the right and Eze and Odegaard central, where is Nwaneri's game time going to come from? So, I don't know whether. I mean, I feel like he's too good to go on loan, but he's also too good to just sit on the bench. So, I hope Nwaneri gets some minutes tomorrow if he is in the squad and gets a run out.
Yeah, look, I'll come in on Ethan very quickly. I genuinely believe Ethan is one of my favorite players. Like every time I see him on the
Agreed.
ball, he lifts me from my seat. I'm just really excited. Now, I appreciate Max Dowman's come on and done similar because he really has. He's lifted me out of my seat. That boy is unbelievable for his age. But I just look at the minutes that he's been getting, and it's quite surprising to me to see him getting this many minutes. I did kind of shout that he might play a few more minutes than people believe, but I didn't expect to see him on the bench as many times and certainly not on the pitch as many times. And when he was playing in pre-season, I was quite stunned to see that. But what I will say is if you've got Madueke and Saka and Dalman now, then you've got the Eze and Erdegaard situation. When he was going to be signing that contract, a lot of people said, where's he going to play? And he was questioning his kind of route into the first team. And I actually was one of the people actually sticking up for Ethan, saying, yeah, I can understand that. Like he's a 17-year-old kid. He's going to be definitely looking at his kind of progression and development and look at the
Yeah,
opportunities he might have to get. And people kind of took that the wrong way, as if to say, how arrogant is he? Like he's only an 18-year-old kid, And I
yeah,
thought, this guy's got every right to say, well, you want to keep me. Show me my career progression. Show me where I'm starting. Tell me what minutes I'm getting, what position you want to put me in. And I don't think he has actually played enough games. I know that he was brilliant against Leeds and Forest, but he didn't get any reward for that. He hasn't really got any reward in terms of not playing and starting from the bench against Manchester City and Newcastle. We see that the other teams were wanting to be putting ahead of him. Obviously, the Newcastle game, he didn't even make the bench. Dowman did ahead of him. So I need to see Ethan with more minutes. And I appreciate that he might just be available for cup games and some of the Champions League group stage. That's fine if that's the case. But let's hope that it is, because I need to see him, because he isn't going to do anything sitting on the bench at 18. Like, I don't know another 17-year-old that scored 10 goals in his first season as a 17-year-old for Arsenal. There's not many that have done that, but he can say that he did. And, I think right now, when I look at how good Saka and some of our other youngsters were, Wilshere and some of the others of years to come at 17, 18, I think Ethan was better than all of them at 17, 18. So what could he be like at 21, 22? But he's only going to get there if we play him. I'm with you. I don't want him to go on loan, but he might look at January and think, how much have I played? I don't want to leave, but I might have to go and go to Leeds on loan or something and try and get some minutes for them, because I can't get in this Arsenal side. And I wouldn't look at that and think that's wrong. I wouldn't want him to go, but it's wrong because he's not playing at the moment, bruv. So I totally get why. And I mean, do you think he's going to get the chance to play in the middle? Do you think he's more of a wide player? Like, what do you make of Ethan?
He wants to play in the 10, don't he? I think when Odegaard came off against Leeds and Forest, I thought he played really well in both games, just because of his progression on the ball and the fact that he can drive past people. I actually think, was it the Forest game where we ended up with Nwaneri, Eze, and Madueke behind? I thought that was one of the most exciting parts of a game we've seen this season, because they seemed like three players who were just playing their own game. None of them didn't feel like micromanagement. Noni Madueke had a lot of freedom, Eze. And I thought, we've got some really good assets here. It's just about using them. Hopefully he's just managing him, and he gets game time, and I know the team is the number one thing. You just think, I hope he's not, because you're still looking at the squad now and you're thinking, there's no Havertz, there's no Nkapia, there's no Gabriel Jesus, so by about Christmas you could be adding another 3 or 4 players to that squad. So we might end up in a situation where people can't even get on the bench because our squad's that strong. So it's good that we've got that level of squad depth. But yeah, let's just hope that Ethan does get game time. A lot of games coming up anyway, so hopefully he will.
Yeah, 100%. Let's do these super chats and then we'll come to a close with a couple of questions to come at the end. Yasavi says, guys, it's very depressing to prepare for matches without Forever Arsenal. They have become a part of my routine. I can't comment on the future of Forever Arsenal, if I'm honest, but I imagine it will probably continue to be going. But, Turkish has obviously left, so we'll see what happens there. So watch this space. Steven says, my favorite thing about Gyökeres is he's being strong, holding up the ball, and the link up is good. Unlike Kai rolling over looking for a free kick. I do actually think Gyökeres is probably not been spoken about enough. His strength and his ability to actually shrug off some of the defenders, because I actually seen him go and battle against some tough centre halves and them coming out on top. So I must admit, I think that's one of his attributes. And it says, Arteta lovers are crying, calling you two very negative. Listen, we've all got different opinions, man. We all want the same thing. Some of us see us differently in how we get there, man. So we can all have an opinion, can't we? Listen, Curtis.
Don't worry, guys. There's a parade on Monday, guys. There's a parade on Monday. There you go. There's a parade on Monday. We beat Newcastle. We're gonna parade it on Monday.
Yeah, we've won the league at St James's Park this time. It's unbelievable. It can be a new song. Oh man, it's mad. Some is a little bit overhyped in it. Let's be real. We have a great result, but let's just calm. It's not over yet. There's a long way to go. Look, we've got we talk about squad depth with Ethan Nwaneri. We still got Havertz to come back. Still got Jesus to come back. People have forgotten about. Obviously, Nkapie, Noni Madueke as well.
Yeah.
There's not enough room for everybody on the bench, Curtis, but this is a good thing, right? And I think what we need to look at is the seriousness of our squad depth in comparison to not just Europe, but certainly the Premier League. I think that we have got the best squad in the league. We might not have the best 11. I think that there could still be arguments that Liverpool and even Manchester City have more world-class players than Arsenal right now. But I've got to be honest with you. I personally do feel right now that Arsenal have got the strongest squad. And with that comes pressure on the team to deliver this season. And I think there's nobody that can tell me whether you're the biggest Arteta hater or Arteta lover, that he's got to deliver this season. Otherwise, there's going to be serious questions. And I think a lot of people have come to that kind of unanimous decision that that's the case. But I don't think there's any more excuses about this Arsenal side. I think the squad is the strongest it's been probably since Highbury days. Would you agree?
I mean, do you know what, bro? Like people will say what we think and this, that, the other. Arteta said in his press conference today, "There's no excuses. This team needs to win trophies." So they can get annoyed if they hear me say it or you say, "Oh, you know this." Arteta's saying it himself, so that tells everybody everything. I'm sure he's very aware that everything is in place. You've got an elite sporting director who's, by the way, what a masterclass from Berta this summer. You know, on top of Saliba and Gabriel and signing Eze, getting Gyökeres, even the little things. Gyökeres' agent had to give up all that money to make. It's just amazing what that guy's done. The Kroenkes, who I've had various opinions on over the years, and I'm sure you have as well.
Yep.
They've actually, you know, put their money where their mouth is this summer and give the guy over 250 million. Like you said, the squad depth is brilliant. To be honest, if I was cherry picking, I would still like a left winger. I still don't think Arsenal have a starting left winger that makes me feel like we're going to win the league with that, because I don't view Eze as a left wing. So if I was playing Eze, he wouldn't be left wing. I would still like to see a left wing. I know we've been linked with Yildiz and Rodrigo and Leao and players like that. I still, maybe one or two others actually, you know, I'd potentially like another striker, you know, to be honest. Maybe even another centre midfielder, a different profile. Somebody maybe a little bit who scores goals maybe from midfield. I've always wanted like a Barella or a player like that in midfield, more creative. But yeah, this team is this is one of the best squads we've had in years. You know, we had like you said, we got 4 players out injured, and you know, I'm not going into games thinking, oh, even when Saka was out. Usually when Saka's out, I'm pressing the panic button. Madueke came in and looked good. Saliba came off. Mosquera looked good. You know, it's almost like for like in terms of the level that they're performing at. Maybe they're not at the same level in quality, but so it's all there for Mikel now. It's all there. No, you're right. No, I haven't given up on the left wing thing for a long time because
you given up on Rafael Leao yet, or what? Is that still your guy?
Well, I tried. I was on tour actually saying to the guy, I said, bro, you need to come to Arsenal. He said, it's not up to me. I was like, there you go. Berta, he wants to sign. Just pay the money. But yeah, I think we've been linked with Yildiz in the last few days, who's a baller, by the way. He's a baller. He would probably suit Arteta's style as well. It's very technical. He works hard. Imagine Yildiz, Gyökeres, Saka. You know, that's the kind of front three you want to see. But yeah, we need to win trophies this year. That's all it comes down to. We've got to lift silverware this season, by hook or by crook. So
yeah, I agree.
let's hope.
Look, we got to hope and pray. I will just touch on Andrea Berta. I know we probably should have mentioned it more, but we haven't really, because it's kind of old news. But it has been confirmed that Saliba signed today. There are rumours strongly that Saka's going to follow as well. So the job that he's done is just phenomenal, mate. I mean, we're talking about 8 new players, contract extensions, and getting some players out in his first season. It makes you wonder what Edu actually was doing at times, don't it? Really, like when this guy's literally just completely blitzed it in a summer and just, you know, boom, it's done. It's unbelievable, phenomenal job, man. So I do think we have to mention that quickly because, yeah, that is great news for us.
I think Edu was doing barbecues and jet skis, bro. You know what I mean? And making Havertz the highest paid player at the club. I think that's what he was doing. It makes you realise now you see Berta, what was Edu doing? When Edu was here, I was like, is Edu actually doing a good job here or not? I'm not sure. I give him a little bit of credit for Gabriel and Odegaard, but then you look at it and you think, well, look what Berta's done in one summer compared to Edu in all those years. You know, I think this is the best sporting director since David Dean. We've needed this for 10 years plus. So
easy.
You know, it's key. You look at Liverpool, Michael Edwards and Hughes, they're as important as Klopp with their recruitment. So yeah, I just think we're in such a strong position at the moment. Everything is there for this club to go and win. It's just about whether they can get over the line or not.
100%, bro. I couldn't agree more. I think we've got the squad now. Let's go and do the business and deliver. Look, we're going to leave it there, people. Before we do that, Curtis, let me get a quick score prediction for you tomorrow night for Arsenal Olympiacos. What are you telling me, bro?
4-0.
Oh, that's confident.
Yeah.
That's very
Yeah,
confident.
I think there could be some smoke at the Emirates, man. I'm telling you. I think, yeah, that kind of game will suit Zubimendi a little bit more as well in terms of getting on the ball. I think Gyökeres has yeah, man. I think we'll beat them. I think we'll beat them heavily, man. 4-0.
Okay, interesting. I'm going to go 2-0, but I would take 4. And I hope it is. I mean, I take 2 to be honest, but hopefully you're right and it's
Yeah, I
4.
take 2.
I think we will win them. I'm quietly confident we'll beat them. So I think we'll win. And let's hope we do. Listen, we're going to leave it there, people. Make sure you do me a favor. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on this channel. And make sure you show some love to myself and Curtis Shaw TV and Football's 12th Man. And we are going to head off. I'm sure we'll be back with content very, very soon. What you got coming up, Curtis? You on your show tonight, tomorrow?
Yeah, I done a show earlier today, a preview, and then the watch along tomorrow. So yeah, we'll be active. And I'm doing my Arteta accent quite a lot at the moment on my channel. So trying to master it. The most attacking team in the league, guys. The most attacking team in the league. And he's got the RAF, and he's the RAF for coming to the training ground.
He's rung up the Red Arrows, bruv, to do some communication lessons. Apparently,
we got the Red Arrows at the training ground. We've got presidents and kings and queens on the phone calling him. You know what I mean? He's never seen Pep play like this in his life. What more do we need? We got everything.
Oh, it's mad, isn't it? When I read that today, I was like, wow, there's serious like sort of gimmicks coming out now. Let's just hope that all these gimmicks actually allow us to do that in May. That's all I care about. So that's what I will say. But listen, big up to you, bro. If you do want to come check myself out, I'm live at 10 p.m. tonight. So come show some love to Football's 12th Man. And yeah, we'll see you next time, guys. We're out of here. Laters.